Morning, everybody. I'd like to call CED committee to order. Roll call.
Mr. Sorensen.
Here.
Mr. Ruiz.
Here.
Mr. Benson.
Here.
Mrs. Labuda.
Here.
We have a presentation by Denise. Welcome.
Thank you.
You're on. Go
I'm
ahead.
on, okay, excellent, thanks so much. I'm gonna just take the corner here, if that's okay.
Want to see?
No, standing is better, because I'll walk around.
Yeah.
So, good morning, and I want to thank Ira Steingart for giving me some time on your agenda this morning to talk about something that we're very excited about in the community. You may have caught a whisper of it here or there, but we are embarking on a campaign called Proud to be Sullivan. And before I go much further, I just want to also acknowledge Roberta, who's here, who's part of our Proud to be Sullivan committee. The Visitors Association is a partner. It's a process that's been in place for well over a year, and it really comes as a result of some conversations about the need for what we call internal marketing. This isn't about marketing ourselves outside of the county. We have people to do that, and I think we're doing a good job of that. But where we really needed to do some more work, and we still have more work to do, is how we market ourselves to each other, kind of how we feel about where we live. And so a group of organizations, private volunteers and individuals have been brainstorming about this for well over a year now. I want to give regards from Darlene Fidun from Bethel Woods Center for the Arts. She was really the one who convened us, along with Scott Samuelson, to start this conversation. And I'm going to give you some background and then show you a quick video, and then I'm going to leave you with materials that you could read at your leisure. So that's kind of the agenda. So we started this process over a year ago, and we came together to say, you know, we're hearing a lot of negative chatter, especially with social media. It's very easy to just put stuff out there and not think about the consequences of that and how it sort of goes viral and it keeps going. And we wanted to neutralize that in some way. We didn't want to engage and debate it. We just wanted to neutralize it. So we've been building the momentum about and asking people to think more about what they love about where they live. That's kind of our mantra. What do you love about where you live? So the folks who've been involved with this, and I have to look at my list because I'm bound to forget someone, and I would not want to do that. It's been Bethel Woods Center for the Arts, Fisher Mears, it's a marketing firm that we all work with, HappyHudsonValley.com. I don't know if any of you know about Happy Hudson Valley, but Stephanie Pearl is a young woman from Newburgh who grew up in Newburgh, third-generation business owner, got a little tired of seeing Newburgh in the headlines for all of the negative things, and she embarked on HappyHudsonValley.com, which is a way of promoting everything positive about Orange, and she's now pulled Sullivan County in. So she's been part of our effort. SUNY Sullivan, and I want to say that SUNY Sullivan designed our logo, and I will sport for you for a moment our hats, which will be out and about very soon. And the video that you're going to see was produced by the students and Diane Regal, a professor at SUNY Sullivan. Young emerging leaders, because without young people, and I see a lot of young, fresh faces here today, it's nice to see you coming out.
Thank you.
She said young.
And emerging.
It's definitely fresh.
Rolling V Bus Corporation, ND Pro Media, the Sullivan County Chamber, Sullivan BOCES, the Visitors Association, and Sullivan Renaissance. And of course, with support and cheerleading from Scott and hopefully the entire legislature, once we get through this conversation, we're taking the show on the road. And we're coming out to really brag about what we love about where we live. So there are two paths here. There's the campaign, and the campaign is about, you know, really encouraging people to be positive and think positive and speak positively about where we live. And almost immediately when we started having this conversation, Diane Regal and the folks from the college went back and they created the Think Positive Sullivan or Think Do Be Positive Sullivan Facebook page. And that's been sort of going viral as well. She had a goal of 1,000 likes or 2,000 likes. I think she's close or there. The other thing that started almost immediately was we started to gather information about what makes Sullivan County unique. You know, interesting facts, things that you just never really know about Sullivan County, and really created a great list from that. And then working with the Visitors Association, we took the map that's in the Visitors Guide, and we sort of made it easy. Our goal is to keep it simple. So when you go into a place and you say to the clerk, do you know how to get to the Villa Roma, or do you know where I can go hiking? And they look at you with this look like they don't know. Now all they have to do is point to the map, and the map has a QR code, and you click with your phone on the QR code, it takes you right to the Visitors Association webpage, and you've got the information. So we're making it easy for people to be excited about where they live. And that was really modeled on a young woman who was a local waitress, a waitress locally, who people would always say, well, you want to know what to ask so-and-so. She knows everything about the county. But we should all know a little something. You should be able to answer a couple of questions. Can I eat? What can I do? And how do I get to someplace? And at least pointing people in the right direction with a smile is part of it. The smile is another part of the campaign, and that's, we've adopted a training program called Choosing Your Attitude. And it's very simple, it's very straightforward. It can be an hour, it can be a day, and we're working on a training committee to go out and start using the program. And already, this program is being integrated into the curriculum at Sullivan BOCES. So the students who are going through the VOTEC program, who are gonna be frontline workers very soon, either in culinary, cosmetology, maybe some business, construction, HVAC, auto mechanics, they're getting the training about choosing your attitude, about just, because it really starts there, right? Have a positive attitude, and it's a lot easier to think positively about where you are. So that's another element of the campaign. And then it's just about getting organizations and businesses to sign on. So the organizations who've been part of this process have made the commitment. And what happens there is they're going to actually sign a commitment saying, we commit to this campaign. We're going to empower our people to be positive, and we are going to be positive. We're going to set a positive example. And then from there, we're generating ambassadors, people who are going to commit to also being positive. We're not asking them to go to negative, postings and respond. We're asking them that if you have a good experience, talk about it, mention it. Be as excited about it as you want other people to be. And part of it is just having some local knowledge, about the wonderful things that we have here in Sullivan County to offer. And that will, we feel, in turn, just market itself. So it's about changing attitudes, it's about finding the positive and really building on it. And it's capital that we have here that we need to invest in, starting with high school students and the folks who are going to be coming out into the workforce. We're working with SUNY Sullivan. They're also integrating the training into their business and their marketing curriculum. They are hopefully going to be offering it as a community community learning. They have a community learning component where it would be available to business owners to bring their staff there. So the way it's packaged is, thank you, Ira. Ira's my assistant. Thank you, Ira, for assisting. Each participating organization gets a binder. This is the logo. It was designed by SUNY Sullivan students. And then the binder has the elements that I've just explained. Background on the program, why we're doing it, how to get involved, and really just having the staff take the step of signing the pledge, saying, you know what, I'm going to do this, and here's how I can help. And then that's really it. And we'll be keeping in touch with folks. There'll be, we'll have all the swag that you want and need, hats, buttons. And we're launching it softly now. We'll be at the Pride Awards on Sunday to support those who've been recognized already, and rightfully so, for being a positive force in the county. We'll be at the Literature Exchange next week with the Visitors Association, because as we get ready for tourism season, so to speak, although our tourism season is growing and hopefully won't have a necessary season, but it will be all the time. We want people to be ready and be happy. And I know it sounds, it might sound a little Pollyanna and a little peppy, but the alternative is, we can just kind of moan and groan and be very vocal about all the things that are horrible, which there are not that many. When you really step back and take a look, there's much more to be glad about in Sullivan County. We have so much here, so many resources that are, I think, mostly not known, even to people who live here, and certainly not taken advantage of the way that they can be. So I'll take a couple of questions, and I want to just go right to the video.
It's not a question, Denise. I really want to thank you for this. And I just want to give a shout out to Liberty. The town of Liberty is having their Pride of Liberty Awards tonight, and they're giving out 2 awards, and they're recognizing 1 young person who volunteers. So your idea has not only caught on, it's already manifested, and it's something that in Liberty we're really, really happy with.
It helps, and it's an idea that really came from they're very grassroots level, and you know, I just have the pleasure of being able to present it to you today. But there are a lot of people working on this, very committed to making it happen. And you know, if I had to give an MVP award today, I would definitely say that Diane from the college has just done an incredible job. And I would love to show you the video that she produced. Some of you may have seen this already. If you've been on Facebook, maybe you've seen it and liked it. If not, we want you to. And if this doesn't capture the essence of what we're trying to do, I think it's a really good snapshot. So, Annie, can you help me out here? All right. Oh, wow. That's good. So, good job, right? Okay, good. So if I'm going to leave behind, I only brought enough for the legislature, but if anyone's interested in materials or information back for your organizations, you can always reach out to me. Thank you again for letting us be here. Are there any questions?
How proactive are you being?
Well, that's a good question. So we're softly launching right now, and the next step, as I said, is the Pride Awards and the Tourism Literature Exchange. We'll be letting people know how they can tap into the campaign. The organizations who are on board are taking it back to their own staff, having them sign on and doing the training, which is, you know, includes the choosing your attitude, the video, and some other activities. And then from there, we have already had requests to do some work with Jeff Bank. We did a training at Sullivan BOCES. So it's going to be a matter of people reaching out and us starting to target. Our goal is to target the hospital. Obviously, we want to go to the hospital, work with some larger employers, but also small business owners in the schools.
Have you thought about like service organizations like the Kiwanis clubs,
Absolutely.
the Lions clubs?
Yeah, we'll go. The only thing that we don't have a staff. It's all network
Right.
volunteers.
I understand.
So it's just a matter of finding, you know, having some requests and then finding folks from within the committee who'd be willing to go out. But I can say yes, I would be willing to do that, and I'm sure there are others who would be as well.
Well, I mean, just bring it up at your next meeting.
Absolutely,
I
it's
think
a
it's
great-
better to be proactive than reactive.
Yes, I agree. Thank
That's
you. And that's our
excellent.
goal.
Yeah,
Thank you.
good.
Thank you.
And again, I wanted to say, you know, Darlene really wanted to be here to present it. She's been keeping us going. She keeps us going and keeps us going, and keep this on the radar and make it happen. Yes.
First of all, Denise, I just want to say thank you. I remember the conversation quite a while ago.
Almost 2 years.
Right, almost 2 years ago. It just came out of a very brief discussion, and Darlene Fadun from Bethel Woods and you and Roberta and the college got this thing started back then, and it's come to, I think, an amazing place. This video is so great. The talent at the college to put that together is just it's so creative and terrific. How does the legislature get its name in that list of supporters? What do you need from us?
Well, thank you for asking. And what we would love from the legislature is if you would be willing to pass a resolution in support of the campaign. I think that would help us, and it would certainly, you know, bring some attention to it. And then we are inclusive. So the more who we can add, the longer we can make that list, the better that it will be. So we would be
Let's
very.
do a consensus right now.
Well, we could do it now, or we could put the resolution together, and we'll just do it in executive this month.
However you like to do it, and whatever we can do to help.
I think, well, we can vote to sign on to it right now, that's for sure.
I would think so.
And yes, absolutely. We'd love to add the Sullivan County Legislature on the list of partners.
Great.
I also want to say thank you, and I remember back, I think it was in the 90s, it could have been the 80s, there was a song, "Don't Worry, Be Happy," and I think I think that positive attitude, if you send out positive, you get back positive.
If you don't worry, you're not gonna be happy.
So congratulations on
Thank you.
that.
And thanks.
I have just a comment. I wondered, have you spoken to the media, because quite frankly, we know there's unemployment in the county, we know there's a heroin addiction, but every time I pick up the paper, I hear about all the people that's going to jail, or hear about the young people that are on heroin, and so on and so forth. We know that's going on, but what about the positive things that are going on in our high schools and in our college? And I think you need to sit down with the media, because they print this stuff, and it's every day. It's every day, and quite frankly, I'm tired of reading about it. I know we have a problem, but we need to address those problems, but tell me the positives that are going on. So thank you so much, this is great.
And we have some media here today, so
Yep.
hopefully they'll take the lead.
message back.
Well, I'll tell you, this is the most professional video I've ever seen come out of Sullivan County, and I've seen a lot of stuff come out of Sullivan County.
I'll pass on to Diane. Diane, will you go?
Yeah, and the collaboration between the groups to get the message out. I'd love to do that with youth resources, you know, with the whole, drug and heroin problem, collaboration like this, and send out you know, information, one clearinghouse.
Okay. So however, we're happy to work with everyone. That's great. So I'll leave these with
Yeah.
Annie.
Thank
There's
you.
enough here for all of the legislators. So it's basically what's in the binder, but I figure I'd make it easier to
Great.
carry around.
Are there 9
Thanks.
or 10 copies there?
I think there's 12.
12.
Yeah, because I want
As long as
Annie to have,
gets one,
Annie
that's
and
all we
also
really care.
our county manager. Oh, there you are, Josh.
I hope you have your father working with you.
My, he's a hard worker.
I know. It's the
Thank
best
you.
salesman
Great
Sullivan
job.
County could have.
Okay.
It's not one of ours, is it?
What's this now?
Give me one.
I will leave it with you, Alan.
Okay.
So we'll put that, the resolution on for executive. We'll do that?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Who's missing? Scott, you got one or not?
I don't, I have one anyway, but I'll take my copy.
Yeah, let's talk about the
All right.
positives, not the negatives.
Well, Okay,
So that should be the theme song, accentuate the positive.
You just have to watch about royalties.
Yeah,
That's
well,
all.
I think everybody in that time period is pretty much gone.
It may be passed.
I'm seeing a
Okay.
kick line here, I don't know why, but.
I think the timing is perfect, actually. Okay, we'll go right to updates. Freda, actually,
Sure.
why don't you,
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, you know, we distributed an update in, you know, with the meeting agenda. I'm not sure if everyone got it, I have extra copies here, I can circulate. It's a week old, and since that update was prepared, the CFA was announced. It was announced on Monday, and the website opens today for applications. The big item there is the timing. This year, the timing for getting applications in is very compressed. The deadline is June 16th. So we have a lot of work to do internally. As soon as the you know, notice that the thing was opening hit, the partnership and the planning division started planning a workshop for the county, which we've set for next Thursday evening. It's a very tight time frame, but we've already gotten the notice out. It's gonna be from 6:30 to 8:30. Mark can say more about it. And it's basically, you know, because the program is, you know, it's open to, you know, local government municipalities, but also private businesses and, you know, organizations, which we have plenty here, you know, basically everyone. It's a, you know, a workshop to go over this year's funding opportunities, and also for people to network on project partners and, you know, just sort of, you know, get that thing going very quickly. We've started to prepare a list internally with the department. The county, I think, a while ago authorized Barton and Judas to come on board and help us do that. They've been working here the past couple of weeks, and I'd like to introduce Brenda Dolly and Bob Murphy from B&L. And actually, do you want to jump in and say a few things about the CFA process?
Oh,
Yeah.
good morning, everybody. I just wanted to quickly say something about the previous presentation, if I can. We have an office in downtown Newburgh in a dicey neighborhood, and some of the stuff that was discussed previously is happening in Newburgh and having a positive effect. So this is a great idea and initiative. In terms of the CFA, as mentioned, we'll be participating next week with Mark and giving a presentation on the CFA process, how it works, and really what we're focusing on is how to be competitive, whether it's a county application, a town or village application, or one from a private sector person, really to work with people and to figure out whether they are ready for this year's model or they're looking at 2015. It's a very competitive process, and because Sullivan is in a region where there's a lot of big boys and girls that we're competing against, really have to put in applications that really shoot for the bullseye. So we've been meeting with the grants office and the other departments to talk about what's happened last couple of years in terms of grants and what has been submitted, what worked, what didn't work, and that's our charge.
I do have just a sort of cheat sheet on the available resources this year that I'm going to pass around. There are 33 programs and a big pool of money, but if you look at it, most of the money is clustered in a few categories, and so, you know, depending upon what we apply for, it will be sort of more or less competitive. You know, we have a big list of things we'd like to do. What we're in the process of is sort of matching up the projects from various plans to available resources. Some things that we'd like to do may not match up with funding opportunities, at least in the CFA, and we'll have to look at other potential pots of money, you know, down the road. But a few items at the top of our agenda that I just wanted to throw out to get the discussion going, because I think this is going to have to be a discussion that takes place, you know, regularly over the next couple of weeks. One is the development of shovel-ready sites. We have a number of sites here that we talk about as being shovel-ready. Some are, some still need some infrastructure. So the idea there would be to really take a hard look at what we have. The draft economic development plan, really soon, talks about how A, there's a dearth of shovel-ready sites, and B, how these sites need to be clustered. So the idea there would be to do a little bit of an inventory and planning to identify you know, the potential sites, where these are, and create a cluster, see what the needs are, and then apply for some funds to maybe bring those sites to shovel readiness, you know, with the appropriate infrastructure, and also potentially do some preliminary marketing as well. Something like a request for expressions of interest to developers. So they can come out and tell us, well, you know, yeah, maybe we're interested in this for this, or no, we don't want to come here, and these are the barriers, and, you know, to really get that dialogue with developers going. So that's, you know, one potential project. There's been a lot of talk about downtown revitalization. We've been doing work with Jeffersonville to create a Main Street grant, and that will be one piece of it. We'd like to actually see if we can package that with potentially other projects in, you know, either in Jeffersonville or perhaps in the Monticello, Liberty, Fallsburg area. Glenn mentioned earlier the Monticello library project that he thought would be a home run, to sort of maybe cluster a couple of downtown projects to support you know, revitalization of small businesses there. And then just one more, and I'll open up for discussion. We have in the past gotten a series of local waterfront revitalization projects. One of those projects is, you know, on its way to completion now, which is to identify and create concept plans for 6 river access points. The next logical step would be to start developing those access points. We'll have the concept plans. I'd like to be able to apply for funds to take those concepts to the development stage. And, you know, that's a defined pool of money in, you know, in the CFA that's available, where we have a track record, and it builds on past success.
So, being that the CFA is, application due date of mid-July?
June.
16th.
Very quick, June 16th.
Okay.
All of a sudden I
6
relaxed
weeks.
when you said July.
Okay, so we're talking in June, and so, projects in the pipeline did you have a priority?
Well, I'm hoping to actually do multiple applications. This year, internally, we were talking about maybe each staffer taking, you know, at least one project to develop. I just threw out, I guess, you know, the top 3 that have emerged that, you know, have distinct funding sources in the CFA. We need to do a little more work over the next, you know, week or so.
So
to
just so that
sort
I
of calm that
understand, like
down.
a CFA project would preferably be multifaceted and maybe collaboration, like with SUNY Sullivan or something like that? Is that a possibility?
Absolutely, and, you know, we've been talking about partners as we sort of go through this. I mean, our list is large, and I think, you know, if, in the end, we'll have to develop, we've been talking about some criteria for winnowing the list down. You know, criteria would include, you know, fit with the actual funding programs and the program criteria. I think that's really the number one, because you wanna, you know, match what you're asking for with what the program wants to give money to. Project readiness in terms of, you know, how much work there's been done to date, you know, whether there's a project to build on, whether the partners are ready, whether this has been kicking around for a while. You know, we do have some ideas for new projects that maybe just, you know, aren't that ready, and as Glenn said, you know,
So
we'll
you'll
have
be
to wait till
open to
next year.
input, we can
Yeah.
discuss.
What's that, Alan?
Yeah, I would like to see the county apply for a community development block grant. I know we'll have a public hearing coming up, and Fred and I had discussed one possibility, which would be a neighborhood revitalization program with focus on housing rehabilitation, but also, you know, a component of it dealing with sidewalks and streetscape. I think in particular, you know, it could really benefit Monticello.
Absolutely.
And so I'd like us to explore that possibility.
And Western Sullivan.
And Western Sullivan.
Thank you.
I gotta focus.
Thank you.
And mamacating.
Thank you.
Well, I think, if I can finish my point,
Sorry.
well, I think there's a focus on, I think there has to be a focus on the county seat. There's no question about that. But on the shovel-ready thing, I mean, my list of criteria would be you know, in an ideal world, places that have water and sewer infrastructure in place, access to transportation system, county or state road. Also, in addition to that, in an ideal situation, if we can locate them either in the larger villages where, whether it's Liberty or Monticello, where people can actually walk to the employment that might be created there, I think would be good places to start. And those are the distressed communities, you know, that are justify the applications to begin with. So if we can situate them there, I think it might get more points. Glenn?
You mentioned something about public hearings, and I was
Oh, yes.
gonna just follow up and say, besides the fact that the clock's ticking, depending on what program we're going towards, if it's community development block grant, you have to have 2 public hearings, they have to be advertised, so I don't know if,
There's
I haven't
one
talked to
ad-
anybody about whether or not that's set up yet.
We have one hearing scheduled, I know.
Right, and that was scheduled for, the CDBG funds that were actually awarded to the region last year. They're now, you know, the competition for accessing those funds, was launched, and the requirements for that are the, one public hearing prior to the application, and then if you get the funds, then the second public hearing, you know, during project implementation. But we'll have to look at the requirements for the 2014 CFA application, which, you know,
We
we
may
may
need
be
2
able to.
public hearings very quickly then. So we may need to take some action today to get those, start to get those scheduled. I don't know if we can.
At least if they're scheduled, then.
I'd like to
I
ask,
had my hand raised for once.
yeah, but I've been
Oh, sorry.
recognized.
Both.
I
Okay, so,
recognize you.
thank you.
I remember.
I would ask if you maybe could put forward what is considered shovel-ready. I think there's a lot of confusion about that. There must be some definition somewhere that's official, that everybody would know, this is what is meant by shovel-ready. I think there's a lot of confusion, upstaters, downstaters,
Right.
city people, what's
Right.
shovel-ready statewide.
Actually, at the last Newcastle Regional Economic Development Council meeting, there was a discussion of that, and they're going to develop some criteria for use in evaluating, you know, the proposals this year. So hopefully we'll get that definition of criteria soon, but I think it will include basically having the infrastructure to support something, having the roads, the water, sewer, you know, kind of that minimum.
Or,
Did you want to say something?
No, you.
Okay, so I think this truncated, very tight schedule points to the fact that Art and I were talking about before the meeting, that the projects can't just be concept and thought of at this time. which is why it's good that the local waterfront redevelopment project is in phases. It's
Mhm.
very clear that we move from phase one and that we keep the momentum going on those things that have gotten funding. One of the, and I also really appreciate the way you've laid out everything. that we're
Actually,
trying to
that's directly from the 2014 guide, but I think it's the pertinent page.
So, the main thing, it comes around each cycle, and as each cycle gets tighter and tighter, to actually allow for some sort of local competition. In other words, as you heard from here, there are different legislators kind of, representing their district. So we don't always know what's going on in all of the townships, but if there was some sort of competition among the townships for what they're doing, and we would be able to use a partial local match from the county for whoever wins that competition. So instead of being asked for $100,000 at the end of the process, like a caboose, we're actually driving that train. And I think that would allow us to understand there's so much going on in the county that we don't really have a pulse on, but those that are ready to compete can do sort of like a mini internal competition. And this has been, it was discussed last year, but, the timeline was like that, and here we are this year again, the timeline's even shorter, and I don't see it getting any longer as time goes by. The timeline's crunching and crunching.
I think, what's happening this year, with the project that, VNL has been brought in to do is, we're gonna create kind of like a pipeline list. A fraction of that list will be appropriate for this year, but we can, we'll have the list to start working on, year round for the next round, and, also address some process issues like what you're talking about.
Yeah, so if we have this internal competition, it might bring things closer to fruition, as a preliminary goer.
I would just ask, so that the process can move forward, that maybe in the planning committee next week, we could just have a pre-screening of how it's shaping up.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I'm glad to have something.
Oh,
I just
I'm
want to
sorry.
make one other point. We're also looking at different strategies for how to make Sullivan County get noticed and with the regional council. And one of the issues, agriculture was brought up before, but you have potential different clusters here. So if we were able to come up with an application that, say, had 3 agricultural related projects, then the job creation numbers would be higher. Or if it was 3 light industry projects, as an application. So I just wanted all of you to know that we're looking at different strategies about how to do that, because we need to get noticed, and you're competing with Westchester.
With clustering the main street projects also
There's another,
work
right.
in that strategy.
Mhm.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Laura?
Good morning, my report was included with the agenda, but just to add to that, my Federal Workforce Investment Act allocation for 2014 came out, and will be overall in our adult dislocated worker and youth funding getting overall 7% increase in funding, which is great. Regionally, the other 6 workforce directors and myself, we meet monthly, and we recently, as required by the Minnesota Department of Labor, submitted our regional workforce development plan that is aligned with the goals that are outlined by the Regional Economic Development Council. We just submitted that the other day. And then, just to plug, the flyer is attached to the report. We are in partnership with the Chamber, holding a seminar on May 13th for the business community on the Affordable Care Act. I was able to get Lev Ginsberg, who is the Director of Government Affairs for the Business Council of New York State. He will be coming down. That'll be from 5 to 7 here in the big hearing room across the hall.
Thank you. Go ahead, Kitty.
I wanted to ask regarding your page 1 program employment data. I'm just trying to figure it out. Your example of businesses, when you say that you got 47 people who found employment, and I'm not doubting that. I'm just wondering where they come from, because if I'm looking at examples of businesses, that totals up to 16, so.
But it's just examples, I didn't list all 33 businesses.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
So I guess that explains also the welfare to work.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then on the next page, you have as part of the transportation policy team. I think that's a great thing. I wanted to congratulate you on that. Is there a plan as far as how this transportation is going to occur?
This is just the beginning, the consultant, the transportation grant that the county received. We just recently contracted with the consulting firm LSC, and that was like the kickoff meeting.
So is that gonna
it
be
was
like
just really
mini
kind of laying
buses
out-
around, or is this gonna be utilizing more of short line, or?
We don't know yet, we don't know yet. It's
Okay.
right at the very beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, I think this is a great bunch of information.
Where are you seeing
Thank you.
Okay.
Jennifer?
Good morning. No, I did give you my written report, so you can look at that. I thought I would just verbally bring up two of the items that I have on that report. The first is that work has been continuing with our food hub project. A lot of this has involved the discussion of the site of the project and how to come up with the unfunded balance for the project. The other issue is the red meat facility in April. They continued preparation work on the site. I was there last Thursday. They're doing stormwater drainage and retaining walls, so they're moving along. We did have an architectural firm. They're almost finished with the design of the building, and we hope in the near future then to go out with the construction of the building and the components of the building. Now, what happens is each step we do, of course, has to go to the Department of Commerce for their review and approval, so sometimes the timing is a little out of our control, but we're hoping that the building can be built by the end of the year. So those things are moving along. Thank you.
I just have a question. As far as the food hub and the, the unfunded piece, the balance, is the IDA open to having a discussion on alternative location possibly at SUNY Sullivan with the Startup New York piece and access to water? Are they open to that?
Well, we're always open to it. We were hoping to have a meeting tomorrow with Ginsburg to look at some other sites, but because of scheduling problems, that was canceled, so we hope in the near future to have them come, and I know there's other sites we're going to have them look at.
Could you include SUNY Sullivan in the discussion? Because I know that I had a discussion, they were interested with the whole Startup New York and trying to recruit a food distribution hub close to 209 corridor, if it was on that Startup New York zone. So would that be possible to include them in?
I'll make sure that that site is included in the discussion.
But I think it needs to be understood that we're not determining the site.
Right,
The
it would be
operator's
brought to
going
the
to.
operator.
So it's not the legislature, it's not the IDA. This is a private business who's gonna be.
But if you're showing them certain sites,
No,
would
well,
you be open to
I'm just saying.
contacting the college and showing them what they have over there?
We'll certainly bring it to your
Proximity to the
attention,
red meat
but
plant.
they are the one who's gonna be determining the site. I think that's misinformation that's been out there. It's not,
Okay.
it's not us, it's not the IDA, it's the operator who's gonna determine it, so.
Okay, but what I'm looking for is, just consideration to convene a meeting with, some of the stakeholders, if you're moving in that direction, Because Ginsburg could be shown alternative pieces if the college, for example, were included in the discussion.
They were already shown over 30 sites initially, or there's several sites that we're looking at now with buildings that are up already, and still obviously the vacant land possibilities. And we will certainly bring that to their attention, but like I said, they will determine if they want to proceed in that direction or not.
Is there any way for the public or anybody else to know what sites have been reviewed? Is that private information that we don't have access to? Is there a reason why we can have access to it? I mean, I'm certainly not trying to push one, but if I don't know what's been shown, and I don't know if there's a rationale for not, I'm not doubting that 30 sites were shown. I just wonder where they might be and why certain sites are picked. And that goes back to my question about shovel-ready. I don't know how these things are determined, and I don't know if that's just a private reason for that. I am lost in that piece.
Well,
If the county legislators are not gonna, we voted not to give them $100,000, I don't know why why we're involved at all. You said they're gonna pick the site, correct? Now, what,
we were supposed to meet
When?
tomorrow, it was canceled, and to be quite frank, I'm very concerned, that we may wind up losing our operator because of the way the press, it's been in the press. They are determining where it's going. I'll certainly open it up, I'll bring it to their attention, but they were showing sites in Bloomingburg, all over the county.
Well, my question too, as far as the funding piece goes, and I know we have CFA coming up right away, and is that a possibility as well? I mean, if the USDA funding, was, because the funding's not site-specific, so if there was a conversation opened with key stakeholders and we took the USDA funding and then filled in a gap with the CFA funding,
We
is
already
there
won
a
the
possibility?
Yeah.
No, I mean,
We won the
for the
CFA
gap,
last-
there's a gap. I know
There's a
Hudson
gap.
Valley.
We are looking at all
Ag-
options, and
For that
we're,
gap
di-
in-
we're looking to make sure that this happens, and I'm confident it will. And I will report once I meet with them, so everybody knows, what's been determined. But the legislature is not part of the decision-making process. And the
Yeah,
operate.
why would they not be, though, I don't understand that.
Why,
piece.
number one is, it was tabled that you didn't want to fund it.
No, I mean, but
And
we have-
we weren't even the applicant for the CFA. It was,
I
it was a
understand
joint
that,
region.
But we were for the USDA funding, and,
No, the IDA was, not the county.
lead agency, but we participated, supported the process, but my question is, I'm just confused. If the county works with the agricultural community, why would that piece not be provided? I don't understand that.
I don't
what
understand your
piece,
question.
what piece, yeah.
To,
What would-
well, to come and give information to the farming, vet it with the farming community, get inputs, key
There will be.
stakeholders,
There's-
sit down.
There's $89,000 that's in our bog that will be used to do analysis and help this project that was, we won that grant already. That will be part of doing the research with the ag community.
I understand that piece.
Yeah, Scott.
I would just like to
Enough is
suggest
enough.
that we move on with this conversation.
Yeah, let's move
I
on.
think Jennifer, stated it brilliantly, that all options can be presented to Mr. Ginsburg, and they will make that choice, but we need to.
And I'm just requesting that you
Conversation
bring
forward.
in, stakeholders like SUNY Sullivan to be a part of the conversation and propose what they have, that's all.
Excuse me, Ira, I'm sorry, I don't wanna be rude about this, I'm just wondering, I'm not clear that I got an answer to my question as to what sites were seen, and is there a reason why we can't have the knowledge of the sites? If there's a reason, I just tell me, I'm just wondering.
Well,
how
for
I'm
one
missing.
reason is, it could change the cost of purchasing, and we're not in contract. There's one reason right there. This is the private sector, and to be quite frank, it's not in the purview of the legislature. This is an IDA project with a joint venture, and it's private business. It's not government buying, and if we start saying all these sites that are out there, and we're not in contract, the prices can go up.
So if the IDA has public meetings, correct, are those sites discussed at that?
Listen, not all information that's done in the IDA is public because of the fact that they're negotiations. So that's not accurate. There's negotiations we're going behind, that are, let's say for property, that aren't public. For obvious reasons. That's why there is an IDA, an agency that has different regulations from the state that now allows you business to be developed without competitive edge being disclosed, things like that.
But I am confused,
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm on Katie's wavelength, I don't mean to be disrespectful. but when was the location determined for, wasn't that determined in the fall? Maybe as early as June of 13 for the Glenwild LLC, what?
That wasn't the original site, just that they first picked, that wound up being after.
The IDA
And,
passed
but
that
right now.
resolution in June of 13.
And there's other sites now being considered also, to be quite frank. So this conversation's not gonna go anywhere.
I just wanna
It's-
say one
yeah.
thing, then we're done, but listen, when you decided not to use county fundings to support the project, you lost your seat at the table. Am I missing something? We're no
Projects
longer
come all the
involved. But I'm
time
saying
through
we
the
are no longer
legislature's
involved.
vetting.
We're no
This
longer,
is-
we have nothing?
When this is not going down the road that I think we need to go down.
Okay, but,
The IDA is looking to make sure this project happens. I don't think this is going to be productive. It's a private venture with another region also. We're not the lead applicant with the CFA, and I think it's not wise, or do we have the right to start making decisions in public,
Yeah.
number one, and in a venue that doesn't have a decision-making power. So I think we want to keep you informed, and the public should be, but, at this point, I don't think, we're not getting
Just bring Cindy
it.
to the table, please. That's all I'm
Thank you.
requesting.
I will let them,
Nice.
I certainly will let them know that. So.
Thank you for the work on the
Okay.
food.
Different,
Thank you.
different topic.
quickly, we're behind schedule.
I would like to know, have any of the respondents or potential respondents to the casino RFA approached the IDA about getting benefits?
Well, as you know, one was already.
For Racino, that predated the casino legislation, but have any of the vendors?
But it's that was
You got
a
three
joint
other
application, but that was EPR, Empire, they both came to the IDA.
Has anyone else come?
The only thing I have is, we did receive, environmental review information from Foxwoods. So we must
Okay.
be an involved agency there.
I saw them
I have no
listed as an
application.
involved agency. Are they seeking IDA benefits?
Don't have an application from them yet,
What's a
and I
secret?
have not talked to them.
Well, if you're an involved agency, they must be seeking, because otherwise you would just be an
You're
interested
trying to
agency.
shush her.
No,
No,
Excuse me, I was talking to Roberta.
I know.
but if you're
Shush
listed,
But
I would assume.
one person,
don't
first of all, don't be trolling me.
I think I
One
got the
person-
answer.
You have.
If they're listed
the
as an
an-
involved
Yeah.
agency, they're gonna be seeking benefits, so.
But EPR came last year, I remember that meeting at the, right. And if it's a destination resort program and they're qualified, then they're eligible, right? Is that the way it goes?
Well, first, let's be clear, I guess, to
Mixing
Alan's
apples
point.
and oranges.
Is, number one is the IDA doesn't go and look to, if an application comes in front of us, we review to see if they qualify for the program that they're requesting, and then we do a cost-benefit analysis. So, there's one applicant that's been in front of us yet. I don't know what's coming down the road, and, we'll cross that bridge when it comes.
I would ask that the IDA review the destination resort policy, the uniform policy, because it was adopted prior to the passage of the gaming legislation. So it was a different world then. So you
That
could Viera-
discussion, just so you know, Alan, I brought that issue up when the EPR Empire came to us, that we felt that if another project came in front of us and would seek benefits, that it would not be fair and competitive if you changed the playing field for another applicant. So the board was consistent with my thoughts, that if another applicant, we have to give the same benefits if they qualify. Obviously, you have to still go through the process, but how can you give one developer a benefit and not the other? And they wouldn't have a fair advantage, it would be unfair playing field.
But I might be missing a piece here, but if indeed it's, destination resort, if they qualify, if they're eligible, they qualify, they get the benefit. Is it, once the gaming commission makes the determination of who's gonna operate in Sullivan County, wouldn't that kind of put the county in the driver's seat at that point? And would we have to give that benefit at all? I'm just asking, cause I know other counties are holding off on that piece.
I think
You're saying it's,
Putting the cart before the
yeah,
horse. Unfortunately.
I think, I'll go back to my statement again, because I think I was very clear with it. The IDA has pilot programs. If an application comes in front of us and they're requesting a certain pilot program, we will review it. They'll go through the process of SECA. We'll have to do a cost-benefit analysis, and we'll cross that bridge when someone puts an application. So far, to answer your question, you know, we have the one so far. I don't know what else is gonna come in front of us, but when it does, we'll review it.
I would ask that the IDA consider a carve-out for a casino operation, because it's different than a destination resort in my eyes. And I was just reading yesterday where, you know, Genting's facility in New York, of course that's Manhattan, but the casino there nets $73.4 million a month. So I think the casino is different than the destination resort, and I would like the IDA to consider a carve-out where at least the casino operation would be on the tax rolls, because part of the RFA criteria, specifically 70 points out of the RFA relates to community benefits, and number 2 on that list says maximizing the benefits, maximizing the revenue to the state and localities. I interpret localities to be your county, town, school district. So my concern is that if you abate 100% of the projects, those projects in Orange County are going to be more competitive, because not only will you not be maximizing the revenue for the localities, but you'll be eliminating it. So I just ask that you weigh that, you balance.
2 things in your response. First of all, you're making an assumption that they're not gonna apply in other regions, number 1. And number 2, the applicant has the option of requesting the program. It sounds like you're determining whether they feel that their application will be competitive up there or not. Don't you think it's the developer, they're gonna wanna put their application in the best position and do what they think is right?
I think the applications that maximize those revenues to localities will be more competitive.
I think that's an important piece.
That's not, you're not hearing what I'm saying.
Again, we're putting the cart before the horse.
Not really.
Yeah,
We
we
have-
are,
we have-
unfortunately.
We have pilot programs in place. It will be the applicant who determines when they put in their application what they're requesting, and then the IDA will review it. So,
Okay.
Okay.
okay. Mark?
After all that dialogue.
You done right,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
And I'm here to answer any questions. A couple of highlights. We met with, in particular, we had a discussion 30 days or so ago about the Sullivan County Airport. We met with a potential operator there who would like to run what they call an air taxi. So they're in discussions with preliminary with us, with Mike, as to how it would work out with private flight as well. And they would operate what they call air taxi service, a little bit different than charter service, where you would lease an entire plane, an entity would lease an entire plane, a business would lease an entire plane for a fixed cost, and then that plane would take you wherever. So it would be obviously the discussion of the resort destination projects is driving a good portion of this. But they operate between Montreal, Boston, Atlantic City, Chicago. You'd be able to go and get the plane, and you could divide it, however many seats are on the plane. In this case, there's 4. There's Cirrus aircraft is what they use, and so we're working with them to hopefully see if they can maintain 3 to 4 planes here, bring their techs here, and maintenance people and maintenance them here, and obviously purchase more fuel at the airport, which benefits the county as a whole. I would anticipate we're going to get more of those types of inquiries for that particular use, so that's something that we're excited about and would add to everything that we do here in terms of bringing in the type of clientele that would use that service, et cetera. There will be a public hearing for Lumitech up in the town of Liberty soon regarding a window manufacturer we talked about. They do facades for New York City businesses. They've located a site on Old Ferndale Road. Not a lot of jobs, 8 to 10 jobs, but certainly another base hit, to use a baseball analogy. And in developing the corridor between the Village of Liberty and the Village of Monticello, which is obviously close to the highway and visible and very attractive to hopefully future true shovel-ready sites as that goes. And talking about that, I have had discussions with Freda about it and how we can enhance and make those sites better. And so obviously she touched on how we would, the machinations of how we would put that together. And in a sense is to take, the easy road is to take what we have now and make it shovel-ready. We use the Startup New York example at the college. Well, there's been a site that's identified and there's some due diligence being done, but there's nothing shovel-ready there at this point.
Right.
So to the extent that we can get something done there in a Commerce Park fashion, and we are working towards that, it costs money and it costs planning dollars and it costs time and investment and all that. So we really would want to focus on that since that's where our priority incentives are for Sullivan County and moving forward. We've had some interest, and I know the college had a story in the paper the other day about inquiries coming in for that particular site. I've had a few too. These are great, we're responding to them, but in the end, if you don't have a site and it's not shovel ready, we're not ready to go. So it's kind of a chicken and egg situation. We really gotta move on that aspect of that. The third thing is just to give you some sense of, and we have to talk about casinos in some fashion. Obviously, there's been a lot of applicants. You'll find over the next several weeks, some of you have already found out today, that some of them will be dropping out quickly, and for a whole host of different reasons. One of the main issues that's a sticking point that was discussed yesterday at the question session in Albany was the secret process. And how is that related to awarding the license, and what time frame should that be done? For example, is it gonna be done within the 2-year time frame that they give prospects to build and open a casino? Or is it something that is done a little different?
They haven't made it.
We haven't made a determination yet. Everything's leaning towards, the local law and local home rule and that sort of thing. Nothing officially has been said. We're pressing that issue as a priority issue, at least for the partnership, is to say, we think these things should be subject to like any other project, the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, and therefore our projects in Sullivan County are much more ready than any of the other ones in the state. It's a good play for us, and I think it's something that we're gonna continue to hammer home. And really, it's speed to market. We talk about revenue to the state of New York. The argument for us is our revenue to the state of New York will happen a lot faster because our projects are ready now. The other thing is we're entering the tail end of our comparative analysis study. That should be done this week and be ready for at least a first draft delivered to me hopefully by Monday. I know we have a committee meeting on Monday as well. So we'll be reviewing that and talking about what's in there and tweaking anything to make it the best that we can possibly be. And then I'll finalize this by saying we're having a meeting later today. Roberta, the Visitor Association, the Chamber of Commerce, Workforce Development, the partnership on the proactive side of how we can help all of our projects succeed. And what we mean by that is local support, the infantry stuff, letters of support, identifying other groups that can write letters of support, anything that we can do to possibly help our projects. And at the end of the process, we hope to submit at least a binder, and we're talking about other mediums, either video or some other thing, to show how all of us here in Sullivan County, businesses, the public and nonprofits, and religious groups have got 3 letters from religious groups that are supporting this, our effort, which makes a big difference. I think it really underscores local support. To be able to help each one of our projects, and they'll all have access to this, in their application process. And finally, we're looking outside of Sullivan County to identify those areas, and Roberta's been really working hard on this in terms of folks from Delaware and other parts that are gonna obviously indirectly benefit from us, and getting support letters from them as well. Our effort in that vein is to show that not only are the projects gonna help Sullivan County, but they're gonna help other counties and other regions and other townships in close proximity to us, whether it be people that are working there and coming through, or other ancillary benefits by driving tourism into those areas as well. I'll take any questions.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the right
venue for this question with regards to the location of Sullivan County being able to not just attract the dollars from the city, but also from out of state. In other words, being a magnet from Pennsylvania and New Jersey. I don't know any other area that has the same geographical advantage, perhaps the southern tier.
We,
But-
as part of the comparable analysis, I'll give you a little bit of a teaser. We have triangulated all of the major casinos in our surrounding area. And when you triangulate that, we're not the best in that triangulation. We're gonna probably come in second best, but we're gonna be the best at bringing people back in from Pennsylvania and New Jersey, which are predominantly, or closer to us. And it's easier to get to us from the New York metro area.
So that's being addressed.
That is being addressed in this study.
And then my final question, and I realize the time. First of all, I want to thank you and Fred, being new in these positions, hitting the ground running and getting so much done in a short amount of time. It's a tribute to, your expertise.
Thank you.
The other thing I wanted to mention is that if there's a way that we could have business expansion and retention, because the retention is an issue in Liberty, and when I don't know what specific programs are there to help in terms of businesses that would stay in Liberty if they had a bit of help. I know that we're underutilizing our loan program, revolving loan program in the county, and there's also the micro enterprise programs and this other thing, but they sort of need a bit of a different type of help that new businesses are obviously getting, from a different sector. Follow?
As far as tax rate, abatements and that sort of thing.
It just, retention is a little bit,
To this date, basically, we've done it on a consulting kind of basis, where
I see.
we go in and it's a react team, and we identify what the issues are, what the problems are, and then we kind of try to fix some of the things that may be going wrong and kind of steer them in the right direction. In terms of a modeling out there that says there's an actual, abatement or an assist during that process, other than the loan funds and our technical assistance, there really is nothing from that perspective. And we get that question all the time, and rightly so. I mean, there's businesses that say, I've been here for 30 years, and what am I getting for my commitment to Sullivan County and my jobs and that sort of thing? And, at this
or more
point,
specific technical.
technical assistance and that sort of thing. Other than that, I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add.
Well, I just wanted to jump in and say that you mentioned the revolving loan funds and increasing utilization of that. It's definitely on our radar and a priority after June 16th.
Yeah.
And I'll mention one last thing. I know Apples came for an approval to the Sullivan County Funding Corp. That has been completed, and they have their
Small engine company.
at least the approval has been completed. They have their grand opening last weekend, and already they're getting a lot more business. They're talking about expanding. They've changed the look of the place. They
should have
they should be coming back, and hopefully, in a not too distant future, to look at a shovel-ready site to expand their projects down the road. So that's a good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Roberta?
Thank you. Before I begin, I want to introduce, and I have the privilege of being shadowed today by two Monticello Finance Academy team members, Ashley Wright and Talia Lucas, and they've joined me for the day, and they asked if they could join us today at the Community and Economic Development meeting, so they've had an opportunity to see you firsthand working on behalf of our county. I'm gonna try to be a bit brief, I promise I'm gonna try to be brief. I know everybody's hungry.
Everybody says that.
I know, come on, James. I'm gonna pass this around. I wanna reinforce, our literature exchange is May 8th, Thursday, over at Holiday Mountain Fun Park. Thank you, Greta, for moving the timing so we could, have all of our people kind of migrate from one event to another, on Thursday. We are gonna be bringing out and rolling out the Be Positive Sullivan County. It'll be an effort not only to do some role playing, to show the film again and see how the module is gonna fit into our everyday tourism businesses and other businesses that meet and greet the public. Simultaneously, we're gonna have like 2 concurrent sessions. We're also gonna have an opportunity for all of our businesses to join us on social networking and some updates and some quick things that all of our businesses could be doing to better serve the traveling public and also their own individual businesses. So there'll be an opportunity from about 3 o'clock to 4:30 to update on both of those endeavors. I do have Gavin Landry, the Executive Director of I Love New York, joining us, and he'll be talking about National Tourism Week, which of course it is. This is why we're doing the exchange, and what tourism means to New York State, of course to the Sullivan County Catskills, and to all of our businesses. And I encourage you all to join us, and then we'll have a tailgate and a barbecue. And just network and have fun, and I think you'll even have an opportunity to have some fun on some of the rides over there as well. And we'll have a live remote and a lot of activity going throughout the day. I do have my Google Analyticals, and I have to tell you that we had put some benchmarks on ourselves this year, and we exceeded them before we hit April, and we're like well over 100% in some areas, so we're readdressing these. But just to give you an idea, it's just going completely through the roof. We went on Pinterest, and we've got all kinds of followers. Our Facebook, our engagement is up over 58%. So we really have been doing some good stuff on the social networking. And I think the key to it is getting all of our members and businesses and all of the tourism entities engaged in that, so we're able to carry more and more. Right now we have a digital ad that we've got running in Times Square. The CBS big digital billboard. We had reached out and wanted to do a cooperative, carrying the Sullivan County Catskill message as well as some offset of cost with it. And Bethel Woods, Roscoe Beer, and Empire Resorts had joined us, and right now from April 9th through July 15th, we will be live at the CBS digital billboard. 160 million impressions. Our phones were going off the hook. We've put in a landing page for the Catskills where you can come in and not only capture the websites and the information of our partners, but of all of our strengths, because we carry also in our closing our great outdoors, our agriculture, our food, arts and culture, and you're able to go right in and capture everything that's available to visitors and encourage them to come here, stay here, and revisit. We also have done a co-op in the Daily News. Just landed. Our phones are crazy. The day it hit, we were receiving over 50 calls just in the office, so it's been great.
It was in the Sunday issue, just so you know, in the travel section.
Thanks. Good. They sent it to us over the advertorial online, so I didn't get a chance to pull on my
It
chairs.
was also in the New York Post, just so you know, the Post picked up on it off of the Daily News.
You're good. I need you to check in with me. You're good on all this all the time.
I just read too many newspapers.
That's a good thing. Bike tour show is going on this weekend. Sullivan County's information is a part of that. There'll be a participant at that show. Some of the highlights for us are, of course, the exchange, the networking with the state. We'll be hosting, we just recently had a successful hosting with Vagabond Magazine out of Sweden. They've done a 4-page spread on our Sullivan County Catskills, and so I will, as soon as that comes off and translates, I get that translated for all of us, which we're working with Brand USA to do. I'll have it in front of all of you, but we were and we have to thank, I think sometimes we overlook the fact that when we bring these groups in here and we host these groups in here, all of our B&Bs and our hotels and our restaurants, they forego and pay the bill for it. And they host them, so they're able to write and tell the story about the Sullivan County Catskills. And a lot of times we overlook that they forego the cost just to make our backyard a better place to live and come back and visit. So sometimes we need to pay attention to that. They do that all the time. And we host quite a few travel writers and quite a few writers and a lot of special guests here. And they've always been very gracious and courteous of putting our county in the most positive message possible. Also, what we will be doing is hosting Miss China is going to be touring the New York State upstate communities in New York City, and we will be part of the team that will be hosting her. And also, May 14th is the Governor's Summit. He's also going to do a consumer show component to this over at Grand Central, which many of our Path Through History partners and Bethel Woods and some others that have chosen to join us. We'll have a twofold going on there that day. But the team that they've opened the Chinese offices for ESD will be coming in, and we will be taking them back with us, the Hudson Valley and the Catskills, and more specifically the Sullivan County Catskills. They'll be touring and staying with us so they get a better flavor of upstate before they return. And lots of other stuff on here, but I put my update in here. Any questions?
Could you just address Mysteryland for a second? Because
Mysteryland, yes.
That was a big, the Fish concert, which was 2 years ago, that Memorial Day event was a huge bump in our overall tax figures for that year. And we noticed not having a Memorial Day event like that the subsequent year. But this is not the same.
It's not the same.
The
I think you're
camping
gonna start to
site?
see more and more. We do have a location site on our web as well as theirs, where if you're coming to the concert, regardless if you have the full package, camping ticket or not.
Which is already sold out.
The ticket, the full packaging ones are, yes. However, some are still coming now, and we've got locator maps on there, and we have been hearing from our businesses that they have been hearing from guests. They are now booking and going into some of our hotels and some of our campgrounds and lodges. Is it the same bump as Fish? I would have to take a look and compare the numbers. Right off the bat, as far as the activity, it wasn't as swift as it was a few years ago.
Personnel won't be long, right?
Fish, but it's a different type of a.
It's more,
It's a camping and more.
So there's
Is
not
it
gonna be as
on the
much
grounds
spillover?
of Bethel Woods?
It's kind of over from Lake Shore Road. It's not right on the pavilion grounds.
And that's,
Um,
does that generate room tax as well, or is that
To
like
discuss what?
camping, what is that?
Camping doesn't for us. Camping does not.
No, I need a
We're,
reason.
what we have had is quite a bit of interest in a lot of the hotels now. We've gotten a great deal with, some of our businesses and not members necessarily,
public
but
comment.
residents also put their additional available cabins through the vet tax and list those, and those
And
things
this
are
committee
available.
you're gonna do?
I would have to take a look at the numbers at the end of it to give you a real projection. I know our numbers are, we've been busy. I know that we've got a lot of entryways from our locations locked
We're ready
into
for
ours.
them, right? Like
We're ready.
1,000 a day?
We're ready for them, and everything is in place, and very honestly, Bethel Woods,
Well, this
the
has been in the
team.
works almost a year, right?
Yeah, the team has been great about it. Right now, what we're waiting to see is, spending the money and seeing what the results are. I think we've had a lull from the year prior, but they've done everything and put everything in place, and they've been working with all of us, checking in. I hear from Brian, we go back and forth, I work with Bethel on it, and everything's in place. It should be excellent.
I'm glad to see you did the museum back. You just did that?
We are putting that all back in together,
Okay.
and we've been working. In fact, I just got an email from Patricia Adams yesterday on it, and
Okay.
yes, it's ready to
And does
start to
that
go.
link into Paths Through History? Is that whole thing with museums and
Now, the
historical
Path Through
events?
History, we asked all of our attractions to submit weekends. We tried to carry whatever we had from everybody, but then we did a specialty out to all of them and saying, geez, try to get your stuff online. Some of them are, some aren't. Hopefully, it'll create enough of an interest and a synergy where they'll go on and they'll at least stop and see more and more of our exhibits and our happenings
So it's
in
a
our.
formal effort to try to bring in the historical events and have
Mhm.
them all in one place?
Correct, correct.
Okay, that's good.
Kitty?
I just have a couple of questions on the various pages.
Yep.
Meeting with Congressman Gibson, what is CONUS?
Oh, it's the contiguous states and contiguous counties and what their per diem rates are. And the only way that we can get, if you notice, like if you go and you do a conference somewhere, and if you work for government, let's say, and you go and you get your tax exempt, and there's a certain amount of per diem, certain amount that you would have on your room, your board, and also your food. So we call that per diem. Ours is a standard. And in an effort to try to, and we've been trying to do this for several years, but we are getting some momentum here now, big time. In an effort to try to move ours from just a standard, recognizing that we'll have more and more rooms here and more ability for conferences. We were trying to get ours raised to at least similar to Kingston or West Point. I wanted to try to get us somewhere in there, instead of $89 to move us up to perhaps $125. So it would be affording Sullivan County businesses an opportunity to have a level playing field when we're going after, government and municipality groups.
So is that looking at the amount of room tax, or that's looking at the amount?
No,
The
it's-
government sets a standard reimbursement rate, so if your company
Okay.
chooses not to reimburse the actual expenses, you can go to this table that the IRS puts out across the country and say, if we pay you $129, that's what you get. You can stay at a $300 place, you can stay at a $50 place.
Okay.
We're giving you
This
the
is what
money
you
because
get.
it's by the rate.
Okay.
We
Oh,
wanna
and
get
I'm
ours
just trying to
raised
raise
so that
ours.
for state auditors and people that travel for that, we
Thank
bump our rates up.
It's like a
Thank you.
mileage
On-
reimbursement,
on
same
the-
thing.
On the next page, you had the Stewart Airport,
Yep.
working with the airport to increase and promote visitors, is that what you already just?
Two different airports.
Okay, so what came out of this?
Okay, Stuart, what we've been doing is not only working with the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey on imagery, but also on getting additional flights in and out of Stuart.
Oh, that'd be nice, and then.
So that's where we've been going. We have another one, it's a whole marketing campaign. We're meeting on Tuesday again, where we're working as a team to start to market not only, our counties, but also Stewart Airport as, a
As a
major
place to
thoroughfare.
actually
Another
meet
New
and come
York,
back.
another New York arrival and departure day.
That'd be really
And
nice.
have it like logged right in there with there, instead of it just being when you hit New York, it usually will say LaGuardia, JFK,
Right.
Newark, and then it'll say Stewart after, but not as New York, so we've been working to make sure it's one of the New York entry points. We've been working, also you'll see some imagery of the Sullivan County Catskills back there at the airport again, because we're in the process of, putting together another piece of image that'll go back out there.
Okay.
Any questions?
On the the 5 museums,
Mhm.
could you just name them for me, because I can only name 2.
10 Mile,
Hurleyville.
Port Delaware, yeah, Hurleyville, the
Hurleyville and
historic.
Port Delaware were the 2 that
Time in the
I-
Valley.
Valley.
Okay, I
Time in
didn't
the
know
Valley,
that was.
10 Mile, I'm looking around my table now, Bethel Woods, of course,
Catskill fly fishing, is that one?
Catskill Fly Fishing.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, I'm
And I
going.
just wanted, the agricultural piece with, you know, your meeting with that, are you tapping into the farmland protection subgroup? Is that what, the group that's working with you? Okay.
Because we're trying to expand the map and get it out again for the summer months,
Roberta, thank you.
Thank you, sir, okay, oh, thank you guys.
That was quick.
Yes.
I have just a small piece of bad news. The triathlon, the Woodstock Triathlon unfortunately has been canceled. There wasn't enough response to it. They were looking for 200 respondents. They got like 35. But they are gonna try to hold it as a training session to try to keep some of the cyclists and the participants coming up into the county. And they will try again next year as.
Yeah,
from
we
my
had chatted
understanding.
with them on that, I think they felt that this winter was so long.
I think that.
That people
that's
weren't out there
that's what they
doing it, but
believe.
we also, for next year, but we
He's
also.
lost a couple of other events, but anyway, unfortunately, that's gone.
We even put for another season with them too in here
Right.
too, so.
And Mysteryland, just going back, and just because I'm 2 miles from the site, I think it's just some of the problem with the Mysteryland event is the economic strata that it's participating, you know, that it's coming in at. When Fish came in, it was a different group of people that were coming through. This is, I think, a much younger, people that don't have the resources, that's why they're camping. So, you know, hotels are not going to do the same thing
Not the
that they
same.
did with Fish. So, and the last thing, I want to thank all of our economic development partners, Mark, Roberta, Laura, Kathy at the Chamber, Freda, and everybody who's working on it. At this point in time with the casino issue, the most important thing is community support. We need to send a message to Albany and to the siting board that we have the best developers, we've got the best sites, we have the best access to these casinos. All we need to do is sit and think, what's the alternative? We need to be 100, if not 1,000% supportive. And again, I thank you guys for trying to gather all of that community support and put it into a package to deliver with those with those
We have a whole
applications.
program we're
So-
gonna unveil for you.
It goes right back to the very beginning of the meeting, when Denise said accentuate the positive.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what we should do, none of this negative crap.
Exactly.
Well, we need to
I agree.
maximize revenue, that should be the
Yeah, you
number
can quote me on
one.
that.
That's the same as your last vote.
Question, if I
Excuse me,
may.
we're 40 minutes late, so
wanna-
Kitty will go and then we'll open public comment.
The
And we'll-
mystery land, I know in the past, sometimes 17B gets, quite jammed, which is a great thing, but I'm concerned about the hospital employees, and getting.
It shouldn't be a problem, there's
it's not-
transportation already worked out, it's a park and drive.
Okay.
You will not have a lot of traffic on 17B and quite frankly, what they're doing is, pickups and there's park and drives.
Oh, great.
Are there
Also,
high-end tents gonna be in Mystery Land for a price, like
Yeah.
high-end tents?
Yeah, it's on the website.
I
They
believe
have
on our
showers and-
website,
It's
I've
not
never.
just kids that don't have resources, 'cause these are expensive tents that you go.
Well, it's kids that are
Okay.
enjoying a wonderful weekend on their parents.
Excuse me,
I said,
we're,
okay.
we're very, very late.
5-minute break?
We'll first public comment, then we'll take a 10-minute break before personnel. Go ahead, Ken.
Yes. Proud to be Sullivan. I'm glad to see that. Really, it's a really upbeat thing. The thing I think that you're missing right now on that, right, coming this Saturday, is at the college, you got the Fisher Film Festival, you have the Kite Festival, and you have an art show. And I think in the art show part, they should have that on a continuous loop, so it's in that part, it's by the library usually. And that, you know, that should be there too, because you're gonna have people walking through. It's an upbeat piece of music, okay, along with it. So I think that's one spot that got missed out of these places they're being visible at. I hope we're getting sales tax from the Scampy. I hope that's a piece of.
Sales tax, I hope you should be getting, we won't see any bed tax on campus.
No, I know, but we should see
That
something
can't
called
happen.
sales
Not a bed.
tax.
No,
It's not debate, it's public comment.
It's just like when you have to rent
You
those.
go camping at Moscow.
It's not debate,
Excuse
it's
me.
public comment.
We're
I am
running
good.
very late.
Just like when you rent those chairs out there, if you turn the ticket over, there's sales tax collected onto it. So, they do collect sales tax for some of the things they have. I'm glad to hear the update on the food hope. I surely wanna see that go ahead and become a reality. Two more things. Sullivan County Community College, you're talking about, shovel ready and so forth. Go on the website, the partner site, and see what they're advertising for shovel ready. And there's a shovel ready site being advertised for the community college, where you had the survey done and that picture drawn is not a good place for anything to be put. It's down in the hole, too much of a lift for sewage, there's wetlands down there, and, Gene knows that land also. And the original proposal many years ago was a tech park on that part across from the golf course with 2 county roads adjacent to it. And there was a tech park in there, and where they're gonna put the cast building, that's where the solar array is supposed to be going. But there is a plan out there that's been hawked and looked at, referred to as shovel ready. And I don't know if that's been considered by anybody, if it's been looked at. That to me is the better site. The one down in the hole, as I call it, is not a good site for many reasons, even if you wanna use alternate energy to fund it, excuse me. To help offset cost of production or cost of, operation. The last thing is, and this goes back to something Alan brought up, and you know how I feel about this, Ira, we don't agree all the time. On this destination resort, tax abatements, tax shifting as I call it, because anytime, we always have to pick up when nobody else picks up. Update on EPT and what's going on. When EPT first came before the IDA, they were talking a racino, no gambling was on the horizon. And that was a grant that they gave them a tax abatement, which I'm not happy about, but that's okay. For a racino, which is gonna move what was over here where the horsemen were and move it all over there, racetrack and all. And that was what the deal was. Well, along comes the November 5th, the game changes, and all of a sudden somebody decides somebody else is coming in with a different name, and they wanna go into the same group, whatever, however they wanna play the game, I don't care. To me, they have changed the contract. Because they've changed the contract, there's no more deal on the table. Okay? I don't think any casino should be, get any grant of any taxpayer in the state of New York, because the state of New York is giving them a sweetheart deal to start with to operate throughout the state. So I really think that you're the legislature, you know, I don't care how you do it, I think you have to change the direction of where we're going. On tax abatements, as far as I'm concerned, I have not seen a really good return on all the abatements that have been given out over the years to us as taxpayers. I think some of the part should be done is school taxes should not be abated. That they should be, because that's the biggest share of your tax bill. And you're crucifying all of your, what's left of your middle class. And your businesses are carrying the burden while you're giving away the store. And I don't think that's where you're gonna get your economic growth for your county. It's happening all over. Texas has been robbing from California to bring them down there, and their schools are being decimated for the same reason, because they don't have the income coming in. And it's happening all over. So you gotta stop this hemorrhaging of the taxes to bring somebody in, because you're not creating the jobs you're supposed to be. If you look at the number of jobs we lost from year to year, it's not happening. People are leaving the county because they can't take the taxes anymore. And you're not doing anything to stop that. The 2% cap, and, you know, I have a problem with that because it's not realistic. We're gonna have to raise the taxes for the jail because it's been kicked down the road for so long. But the thing is, we're not increasing our tax base by giving away the store. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
10-minute break?
How about second?
Yeah.